the Slicers V2 Apple Pie playing card, which I won during the OPC August challenge by doing a trick shot with throwing playing cards, which I'll show you at the end of the video. But at the front of it, you'll see that it's a caramel coated apple. On the front that says Slicers, you'll have it dripping down all of the other three sides, and the top is coated. The bottom is going to be some organic playing cards ad copy, and the inside is just continuing the same gold foil. And that's pretty much all I can say for the inside of the tuck box, considering the rest is all white. So let's take a look at the cards. You get the beautiful caramel golden apple back design, this time with a medium to thin white border and a white background, which has not been done for an OPC deck yet. You do have the golden dripping apples with the caramel dripping off of it. You get the leaf on top and a golden border. Very simplistic and very beautiful. Your number cards are going to be bicycle standard, except for one minor change with the fact that all of the red cards have been changed to a metallic gold ink, which makes it great because all of the faces are still standard with placement and fonts and everything else, but it can now be used for both magic and cardistry. Your three aces are going to follow the same pattern. Your two identical jokers are done in the same apple that is on the back design, and it says Joker in the top corners with the J being done in metallic gold, which is identical to your holographic sticker that comes with each deck. Speaking of ad cards, you get a duplicate 9 of hearts and a blank card. And my favorite part of every single OPC deck, which is the court cards. And I'm going to go through all of these because every single one of them has something different, like how this one has a basket of golden apples. You get apple cider and something different on every single one. And then when it comes to the colors of these, you now only have the metallic gold, you have a little bit of like an orangish color, and then you have your black and white, except for this one card, which happens to be my favorite, where you get an apple tree in the background on top of everything else that goes along with these court cards. And last but not least, your Ace of Spades, which happens to be the same golden apple tree on the Jack of Spades. Now, if you want to know if this deck can Pharaoh Shuffle, this one Pharaohs exactly every other from top to bottom, and you can learn the Pharaoh Shuffle in the description below, and you can check it out from bottom to top, which is again every other. The next thing you'll want to know is how this deck is going to feel and how thick it is. So it is going to be a thicker deck. There's two types of paper at United States Playing Cards Company, and this one is on the thicker stock. There's classic and premium. This is on the premium stock, but it feels like it's crushed as well, so it's not going to be so overly thick, and it also makes it a little bit more buttery. So moves like Under Pressure are definitely going to be easier, although that's not saying that moves like Backdrop are going to be any harder whatsoever. And both of those moves you can learn on the channel in the description below. One last thing to talk about before we get into the trick shot and how I actually won this deck is if you should even look to see if you can pick these up. If you're a magician, I think you can pick this deck up because there's nothing overly complicated with it. All the faces are going to be pretty well standard with some different coloring changes, but outside of that, they're all going to be super simple for spectators to see, and I wouldn't have any problem with that. Plus, it does have the blank card, the duplicate jokers, and the extra 9 of hearts. Cardistry, 100% I think this deck works. The metallic foil is going to look great in cardistry videos. It's super simple. The white on white looks great with the 1-on-1 with the top and bottom. Again, fantastic for cardistry. Won't have any problem there. If you're a collector, I think this is suited really well for that, pun intended, because one, this is an OPC deck and they sell out super fast. This literally sold out the same day that it got dropped. So I don't even know what to say with the fact that I already have them when it was just dropped yesterday. Super freaking cool, and good luck finding them. But when it comes to collectors, I would 100% try and get it because it's going to look great on a shelf like that, and every single OPC deck has sold out so far. Next is if you play card games. I think you can play card games with this because all the faces are simple enough and it's not a marked back, but at the same time, I'm probably not going to let my friends play with it because at the same time, these cards are way too nice. They're like, what, 15 bucks or something? And I was like, I'm not going to want my friends to play with a nice deck like this. And lastly, this is a hype deck. Heck no. Now for the story on how I won these two decks of playing cards. I'm currently going to college, and over this summer, I saw that this OPC challenge dropped while I was working the front desk for our recreation and wellness center, which means I have access to the gymnasium that's in the back. And as soon as I heard about the trick shot, my first thought was I have to see if I can make it into the goal from some way in the intramural gym. And at one point during high school, I had made a full court shot with throwing playing cards, so I thought what could be different here. But this time when I did it, I made it a little bit more difficult. Because most of the time when you're going to throw a full court shot, you'll stand on one end underneath the basketball goal, and you'll have a straight shot straight to the goal with nothing in your way to block you. What I decided to do was go to the track that's up above the 3 basketball courts and circles all 3 of them. And on the one basketball court, there's actually a goal on one side, a goal on the other, and then there's a side goal. So when I went out to the track, I decided to try and throw in that side goal. One, that made it harder because you have no backboard to see if you can help you out. And the other thing is I had the backboard on the right side to me. And as a right-handed card thrower, when I'm going to throw it, it will go up to the right and then come down to the left. And that made it a lot more difficult because when I'd throw it up to the right and come down left, it'd then get blocked by the backboard. So I took 136 cards with me that day. And I went up to the track, I set up my tripod, and I threw all 136 cards and made none of them. And then I had to go down to the gymnasium floor and had to pick up all 136 playing cards. And for those of you who know how hard it is to pick off playing cards off a hard surface, I did it 136 times every time I attempted it. And if you want tips on how to actually pick up playing cards off a hard surface, I can make a video sometime, so just let me know. But then after I picked them all up the first time, I went back up to the track and tried it again and made none of them. So when I went back down, I picked them all up and tried again for a third time. I've now thrown over 300 playing cards and I'm exhausted from not only throwing them all, because my arm is really hurting, my hips are hurting, my legs are hurting from just doing the same motion over and over. And I'm also just tired of picking up the playing cards. So we're about at the 2-hour mark, somewhere in there, and I start throwing again, and I'm about halfway through, and I make it. Luckily I caught it on camera, and this right here is the clip of everything that happened. Yeah, so I got a little excited. So I really couldn't move my arm for much of the next day because of how much that hurt just throwing my arm out over and over and over. But if you want to learn how to throw playing cards, I can teach you that as well. So if you want to actually see me try other trick shots, let me know down in the comments what trick shot I should try and I'll give it a whirl. And speaking of throwing playing cards, you can check out how to throw playing cards for distance in the exact way that I use right there in the deck reviews playlist right there. If you want to pick up any of the merch or check out OPC, I'll check both of those out in the description below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. This is Card Perfect, signing off.